Please come to attention. On February 19th of 1945, 75 years ago today, the United States Marine Corps assaulted the island of Iwo Jima. After 36 days in hell, 26,000 casualties, and 6,800 killed in action, the Marine Corps emerged victorious. More medals of honor, 27, were awarded for heroism in this battle than in any other in our nation's history. It was said of those who fought on Iwo Jima that uncommon valor was a common virtue. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and welcome the heroes of Iwo Jima. You're welcome. March on the colors. And salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time I'm going to call upon Father Matt Westcott, who is the regimental chaplain for the 25th Marines, and he's the pastor for the church located in Foxborough. So I think he's doing double duty for both the Marines and the Patriots. So, Father,
I invite you to join me in prayer. Lord God, we gather with hearts full of gratitude gratitude for the blessings of this day, the opportunity to commemorate the Battle of Iwo Jima and those men who fought there. We ask that through your grace and blessings, we may be inspired by their example of honor, courage, and commitment, and we may rededicate ourselves and our nation to being and remaining Semper Fidelis. I make this prayer in your holy name. Amen.
All right, I'm going to ask that Warren Griffin, who's the National Junior Vice Commandant of the Marine Corps League, bring greetings. And I want to point out it's the Marine Corps League that is putting this event on. Couldn't do it without him. So, Warren.
Thank you, John. On behalf of the Marine Corps League, I want to thank our Iwo Jima veterans here today for taking your time to share your experiences with us and provide us, especially every Marine, the opportunity to meet those upon whose shoulders we have stood for all these years. To our Gold Star families, we honor your presence with the knowledge that your sacrifices will never be forgotten and can never be repaid. We thank you. Governor Baker, General Smith, General Dunford, Mr. Kraft, invited guests, and all those in attendance today, thank you for joining us with the opportunity to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the iconic Battle of Iwo Jima. We also have with us today the future of our Marine Corps. Our future officer corps is being ably led by Captain Stephanie Habda and our enlisted ranks. So thank you very much to those carrying on our tradition. We hope you will learn and enjoy today's ceremony. Thank you very much.
I am now going to call upon our Governor, Charles Baker, to say a few words. And before he does, I want to point out that this governor has come 3 years in a row to this event. We've never had that type of support before. Governor is terrific. He does so much for our veterans. And he's a great guy. Thank you.
So good morning, and I just want to start, first of all, I think it's your mom. I want to start, first of all, by saying how much we here in the State House appreciate so many people coming out today to commemorate, honor, and remember those who fought, and most of whom died, on that island 75 years ago. To the Gold Star families who are here, your presence today and every day when we speak of and talk about sacrifice and service on behalf of this country is so important and so precious, and thank you for being with us. And to all those members, current, former, and future members of our armed services, I would just say, as somebody who spent a good part of my professional career in public life, I am well aware of the fact that the opportunity that we have to serve was granted to us by you and your colleagues and those who will serve going forward. There is no democracy without freedom, and there is no freedom without men and women like you. God bless you and thank you. And the simple thing I'd say with respect to Iwo Jima, and certainly nobody here needs a history lesson, is it was one battle of a series of engagements that took place between the U.S. and the Japanese and the Pacific. And while many people talk about, remember, discuss the theater in Europe, which got a lot more attention in some respects than the theater in the Pacific, there's simply no question that the bravery and the courage and the grit and the determination that was shown by so many Americans who fought in the Pacific was extraordinary. And if you think about Iwo Jima in particular, That battle lasted roughly 30 to 35 days. There were 21,000 American casualties, 6,800 Americans who died on that island, and 20,000 casualties on the other side, on the Japanese side. 30 days. 30 days. Think about that. And when I think about this particular engagement, what I think about most is there's a reason why so many of us call the folks who lived and served during that period the greatest generation. Because time and time and time again, when their nation called, when the world called, when democracy called, they stepped up and they put everything on the line on behalf of this country and their fellow citizens. And honestly, the gratitude that I feel, the debt that can never be repaid, is extraordinary. And while I certainly appreciate the commentary about what we do here for veterans as part of our administration, I can tell you as I look around this room, I see a tremendously big number of elected officials at the municipal level and at the state level who are here because they are part of the team sport we call here in Massachusetts, which is making sure we do everything we possibly can to be the #1 state in the country for honoring, remembering, and supporting our men and women in uniform. And many of those folks who served at Iwo Jima and served in the Pacific and served in World War II and every war before and since, they are the people who we work every day to try to make sure we honor, service, and support, because they are truly the ones who give us the great opportunity that we have to serve. God bless you all.
This is the 21st time I have been honored to conduct this ceremony. The ranks of our Iwo Jima veterans have grown thinner, but these heroes still come each year. Sometimes I think it may have been easier for them to get up Mount Suribachi than it is for them to get up Beacon Hill today. But I love these guys. To me, they are the spiritual forefathers of today's Marine Corps. They spent 36 days in hell, but never quit. They took so many casualties, they did not know if they were winning or losing, but they never quit. With courage and teamwork, they improvised, they adapted, and they overcame. They emerged victorious. And then they came home to raise families, work in various jobs, and lead outstanding lives. I love these guys, and I'm going to ask that they come up to speak. So Larry Kirby, get up.
Honored guests, fellow Marines, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, John. I'm having trouble dealing with the fact that 75 years have passed since we're on Iwo Jima. It's such a long, long time. 75 years, for many people, it's an entire lifetime. And yet, that battle that occurred so long ago is still current in the minds of many people. That's probably because the battle was got a lot of attention. When you consider that more than a dozen books have been written about Iwo Jima, there's been 3 full-length motion pictures, and an endless list of narratives, accounts, interviews, analyses, videos, documentaries. So much has been written about that battle. Yet, to me, the best description of the Battle of Iwo Jima can be found in the final 6 words of Admiral Nimitz. Uncommon valor was a common virtue. It seemed on Iwo Jima that courage and sacrifice was the norm. It was routine. And you consider that 27 medals of honor were awarded for that battle. And the Medal of Honor is not given if you're a very good Marine or a great fighter or whatever. It's awarded to those people who go above and beyond and risk their lives, and in most cases, give their lives to help a fellow Marine or a friend. And that attitude, at least what I saw on Iwo Jima, that was prevalent among all of the Marines there. It was such a noble event and conducted by so many brave, wonderful young people. I often thought that the reason, I shouldn't say often thought, but it is my opinion that the reason that men fight in combat and give their lives or risk their lives is not for their flag or their country or the Marine Corps or any other abstraction. They do it because they love their friends. They fight for them because they love them. These guys can tell you that the connection, the feeling between the guys in a fire team or in a squad, the bonds between them are as strong as the bonds between 2 brothers, and I dare say between a parent and a child. That sense of love in its purest form is prevalent among men in deep combat. And I've always admired that. When I left Iwo Jima, I thought, this is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. But I soon came to realize that having been on Iwo Jima was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I learned the value of love. And from what those brave young boys showed me, it gave me direction in my life. So I was able to enjoy the love of my wife, my children, my siblings, their children, my dear friends. Love just became such a valuable commodity to me because of what was demonstrated by those very brave young men. So I don't regret being on Iwo Jima. I did nothing there. I just showed up, did my job as best I could, and survived. But I have lived my whole life knowing that I had the privilege and the honor, pure honor, to have been among heroes. The young boys that I knew granted me that honor by allowing me to walk among them and to be one of them. And from that day to this, I haven't got much time left. I'm 95, coming up to 96. I'm at the end of my life. But this I assure you, as long as there's breath in my body, I will remember those brave young men on Iwo Jima, and I will forever be in their debt. Thank you.
All right, I want to say 2 things about Larry. Every time I look at this guy, all I can think of is Jimmy Cagney, you know, the actor. And I keep thinking he's going to start tap dancing, you know? And he's spry enough that he could. The other thing is, when Larry went ashore, there were 230 Marines in his unit. And 36 days later, only Larry and 6 other Marines were able to walk off of the island. Now, I'm looking at Ms. O'Malley, and I'm asking him to come up and say a few words.
First thing I have to say is the fella that drove me down here, Brendan Bailey, Master Gunnery Sergeant Marine Corps, says, Ms., keep it brief. So that's what I'm trying to do. Well, of course, most of you have heard about the battle and everything. But let me tell you, my first experience was going in on the first wave off an LST, and we were, but before we got onto the Amtrak, I think it was, we had breakfast 5 in the morning, steak and eggs. And we were due in there at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. at the Iwo, the first wave. And the bombardment that was going on from the ships, planes dropping the bombs, planes dropping napalm, strafing with their 50 caliber machine guns. You just figured that nothing could live through it. And they told us the battle would last probably only 4 or 5 days. You know, it was only 5 miles long, 3 miles wide on the shape of a pear. So anyway, we get into the Amtrak, and I'm joking around. And because I said, nobody's going to be standing, nobody's going to be living. It's going to be a picnic. My squad leader, Joe Wiggins from Oklahoma, who had gone through the battles of Choiseul, Vella Lavella, Bougainville, says, he says, boy, you get in there, you're going to miss your pants. Anyway, we get in there, first wave off the Amtrak. They were supposed to take us in 100, 200 yards. They didn't take us 10 feet because of the sand. They couldn't get any traction. We jumped off, not bad. We started climbing this barrier hill. It was the tidal wave left the sand. If your footprint would be 2 feet wide, it's just soft. We get up over, with nothing coming in yet, little artillery. And we get into a big shell hole after about 5 minutes, well, maybe 10 minutes on it. And then all of a sudden, we get strafed machine guns. You can see the bullets. So I says to my assistant barman, I says, well, I haven't messed my pants. He says, well, I have. Fortunately, he got hit about a half an hour later and was evacuated. But that was my experience. There were 50 in my platoon went in, as I say, on the first wave. And after 16 days, it was March 8th. We went in on 19th. And on March 8th, there were only 4 men left of the 3rd platoon. I might add this, that our replacement lieutenant was Lieutenant Jack Loomis out of Baylor, All-American, played for the New York Giants. He was killed on that day, the 8th. He had hit 2 pillboxes by himself, almost by himself in coverage. And he had stepped on a landmine, took both legs, and died a few hours later. His last statement was, New York Giants had lost one good end. And he was awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously. Like I said, my Master Gunnery Sergeant says, keep it short. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Richard, remember Mrs. Words, keep it short. All right, come on up here.
Before I say anything here, I want to thank this guy. He's responsible for all of this.
Look, number one, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for you and the other Iwo Jima vets. Secondly, Marine Corps League is the one behind it, and it's teamwork. I'm just a point man, so.
I'm still in it.
Yeah.
When I come to these affairs, or anybody, where there's military Marine Corps. I do not take the opportunity to talk about my Marine, Justice Marion Chambers. And if any of you haven't heard about him, he's the greatest. And he's the one started. So when we land, the 25th Marines landed on the beach. He noticed that high ground on his right flank. And he said, if we don't knock that out, there's going to be a lot of dead Marines and sailors. So he took his 3rd Battalion. He went up there that night. They took the high ground and allowed that landing to go through. But he's my hero. And any time I get a chance to speak to any Marine, I said, there's a guy who's a Marine. He started off first as a reserve officer in the Naval ROTC in the 30s. Then he gave up his commission and went to boot camp. Became a PFC and corporal. Not too long after that, they saw officer material, and he went on from there. In the 30s, he landed on Tulagi. He was a member of the 1st Marine Raider Battalion. That's the ones that the Navy SEALs and Green Berets and everything, they were the first to adopt some of those techniques. And anyway, at Tulagi, he gets a Silver Star and a Purple Heart. And then joined the 4th Division and Marshall Islands, Saipan and Tinian, more Purple Hearts. He was a Marine's Marine, and he's the guy that saw that they had to take that top ground, or there was not going to be much of a landing. So every time I get a chance, I'm talking about him. Not only in combat, but back at Maui, he took care of his boys. If you got a little, we went right away with him. So he took care of his boys. And if it was a real serious offense, I'm sure he would have made sure that they got proper representation. So he's my hero, and I talk about him every chance I get. So that's it. And I don't know, wasn't sure I was going to make the 75th, but I said, if John can do it, maybe I can. That's it.
Before I go any further, I'm looking to my right, and I'm looking to a lot of really great people. And just about everyone said, look, don't want to be introduced, don't want to be noticed. It's all about the Iwo Jima Day Marines, and they're right. But I'm going to quickly go through this. And as we know, we have the governor here. Next to him, Lieutenant General Smith, who's come all the way up from Washington for this, and he's the highest ranking officer that we've ever had here. I think it's a great testament. Next to him is one of Boston and Quincy's own, General Dunford, who's retired. He's the past chair of the Joint Committee, Joint Chiefs of Staff. Yep, let's hear it. Next to him, Robert Kraft, CEO, owner of the Patriots, the Kraft Foundation. The guy does more than you'll ever know to help veterans. So, Robert Kraft. Next to him, we have our state treasurer, Deb Goldberg, who administers a great program helping veterans get bonuses. So thank you. One of my personal favorites, Father Matt Westcott. And as I pointed out, he's doing dual duty here. He's the chaplain for the 25th Marines. In the second row, guy that you know, everyone knows, Secretary of Veteran Services, Urena. Next to him, we have Brigadier General Mcgrath. And what I want, these officers are here for a special reason. Each branch of the service that they represent fought on Iwo Jima. And there was a National Guard unit that fought on Iwo Jima, 147th Regiment from Ohio. Marines liked them. Reason being, they had a lot of flamethrowers and machine guns that the Marines didn't have. Then, next to him, commanding officer of the 25th Marines, Colonel Dunn. And as we all know, 25th Marines fought on Iwo Jima. Next to him is Captain, I'm going to foul this up, Vakaitis of the U.S. Coast Guard. A lot of people are saying, why the Coast Guard? Guess what? At Iwo Jima, under intense fire, the Coast Guard would bring supplies to shore and then pick up our wounded and bring them out. Very heroic Coast Guard men and women. And next to him, Colonel McCarthy, I believe, from the Air Force. And as you know, the Army Air Corps, which is why we fought that battle at Iwo Jima to help them out, morphed into the Air Force. So he's here to represent them. Next in line, Tommy Lyons, and next to him, Josh Kraft, who, believe me, is one great individual. Every year, the Kraft family puts on a luncheon for Vietnam veterans. Josh is the backbone behind it, so thank you. I'm going to ask everyone's favorite corporal, Tommy Lyons, to come up and introduce our principal speaker, Lieutenant General Smith.
Thank you, John. First, let me thank you and Warren in the Marine Corps League of Massachusetts for once again honoring our Iwo Jima veterans. You know, a great statesman, Dr. Samuel Johnson, once said that people need not so much be informed as they need to be reminded. And today, we're reminded of the service and sacrifice of our Marines and Navy corpsmen on Iwo Jima 75 years ago. I'm honored to introduce today's guest speaker, Lieutenant General George Smith.
At the dedication of the 5th Marine Division Cemetery on Iwo Jima on 21 March 1945, Chaplain Roland Gittleson stated, "Here lies officers and men, Negroes and whites, rich men and poor, together. Here are Protestants, Catholics, and Jews, together. Here no man prefers another because of his faith and despises him because of his color. Here there are no quotes of how many from each group are admired or allowed. Among these men, there is no discrimination, no prejudice, no hatred. Theirs is the highest and purest democracy." Today, exactly 75 years after the first Marine sunk knee-deep into the volcanic black sand of Iwo Jima in defense of our American democracy, we gather to honor those who served in that iconic battle. A battle described as a landmark of mass courage and individual valor, the likes of which mankind most probably will not witness again. Governor Baker, General Dunford, Mr. Kraft, Ms. Goldberg, and most importantly, our honored veterans of Iwo Jima here today. I am deeply honored and truly humbled to join you to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the battle for Iwo Jima. When Tommy Lyons asked me if I would speak at today's ceremony, I did what all Marines do when Tommy makes a request. I simply said, yes. Is there another option? Thanks, Tommy, and thanks for the brief introduction. You followed directions for a change. Iwo Jima, an 8.5 square mile chunk of volcanic ash and stone 650 miles south of Tokyo Bay, and a strategic waypoint in the campaign across the Central Pacific to mainland Japan, where over 70,000 Marines of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Marine Divisions fought above ground in that torturous terrain for 5 weeks, while the Japanese defenders fought them from a deliberately planned and dug-in network of caves, tunnels, and pillboxes, all designed to draw Marines into a pre-planned kill zones. Marines never knew where the Japanese would emerge. Death came from all directions. And in the 36 days of this historic battle, nearly 26,000 Americans, most in their teens or early 20s, were casualties, of whom nearly 7,000 made the ultimate sacrifice. As a result of the extreme sacrifice of the Marines and sailors of the 5th Marine Amphibious Corps, nearly 25,000 Army Air Corps crewmen flying the B-29 Superfortress 1,500 miles from the Marianas to their targets in mainland Japan in the final months of the war were saved from ditching their aircraft into the North Pacific by landing on an American-controlled Iwo Jima. Navy Secretary James Forrestal, who witnessed from Green Beach the first flag raising on Suribachi by Marines of 3rd Platoon, Easy Company, 2nd Battalion, 28th Marines, said, "In the last and final analysis, it is the guy with a rifle and a machine gun who wins the war and pays the penalty to preserve our liberty." He knew of which he spoke, of the 40 men of 3rd Platoon who first reached the top of that dominating volcano the Marines called Hot Rocks. 4 made it to the end of the battle. Yet a constant for Marines amidst this unprecedented carnage was their irrepressible sense of humor, as evidenced by a handwritten sign along a bulldozed road on the slope of Mount Suribachi that read, "Suribachi Heights Realty Company, ocean view, cool breezes, free fireworks nightly." And shoulder to shoulder with the Marines in the thick of the action were nearly 10,000 sailors. In Bill Ross's book, Iwo Jima, Legacy of Valor, he noted that Marines were keenly aware that medical teams aboard the hospital ships and transports were to be admired and respected for their skills and dedication. But the feeling was much deeper for the doctors and corpsmen ashore who directly faced the misery and dangers of combat. They were dues-paying members in good standing in the special breed and brotherhood of the Marine Corps. That special relationship continues to this day. And in addition to those Devil Docs were the Naval Construction Battalions, the Seabees, who suffered casualties equal to any frontline outfit in the first days of the battle. And then there were the Navy Beachmasters, who made order out of the initial chaos that accompanies any amphibious assault. And the coxswains and gunners who crewed the landing craft and gunboats ashore under withering Japanese artillery and mortar fire. 27 Medals of Honor were awarded for extraordinary gallantry at Iwo Jima. 3 were awarded to Marines from Massachusetts, all from the 5th Marine Division. Gunnery Sergeant William Walsh from Roxbury saved his fellow Marines by throwing himself on an enemy grenade that had landed in a small trench where they were finding cover. Private First Class Robert Caddy of Quincy saved his platoon leader and members of his squad by diving on a grenade amidst a fierce exchange of hand grenades with the enemy. Platoon Sergeant Joseph Julian of Sturbridge launched a series of one-man assaults after his platoon was pinned down by machine gun fire from multiple caves. Over the course of 3 hours, he single-handedly reduced multiple enemy positions with satchel charges, bazookas, and his trusty carbine before being mortally wounded by an undetected Japanese machine gun. What causes Marines to perform such feats of bravery? To have such a total disregard for their own lives? To demonstrate such love for their fellow Marines? General Pollux Kelly, Boston native and 28th Commandant of our Marine Corps, was laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery last week, a short distance from the Marine Corps War Memorial. He attempted to describe what's in the heart of even the most battle-hardened Marine when he said, "It's like trying to describe your feeling for your country, your wife, and your children. It's there, but words are insufficient." As your present-day Corps of Marines focuses its fullest attention on potential adversaries in the Pacific, we once again look to Expeditionary Advanced Bases as a key component of the unmatched agility and lethality of America's Naval Expeditionary Force. Today, our lexicon is filled with words and phrases such as sea control and sea denial, multi-domain, long-range precision fires, operations in the information environment, low signature, network, persistent, fighting and winning inside a contested environment. These address the character of war and the contemporary tools of our trade. They do not, however, reflect a change in the nature of war. The fundamental nature of war remains unaltered. Today is also a day to remind ourselves of that harsh reality. And as we reflect today, it is also worth noting that our most bitter enemy in 1945 is now our staunchest ally in the Pacific region. Time does have a way of healing old wounds. I have the privilege of driving by the Marine Corps War Memorial each morning in Arlington, Virginia, on my way to the Pentagon. Those 32-foot-high figures in Felix de Weldon's masterpiece stand as a constant reminder of the incalculable acts of heroism and the indomitable spirit of Marines and sailors over the course of those 36 days. Admiral Chester Nimitz's famous words, "Uncommon valor was a common virtue," are deeply etched in the granite base of that iconic statue. And they are forever etched in our national memory. This time last year, Mr. Kirby, an author of Stories from the Pacific, wrote in the Boston Herald, "I live in fear that what they did will be forgotten. And it is my job to make sure that people never forget them." Mr. Kirby, sir, fear not. As long as Marines wear this uniform, as long as we have American patriots like those gathered here today, we will always remember and honor those heroes who served and sacrificed on Iwo Jima, defenders of democracy and all the freedoms we enjoy today. The Battle of Iwo Jima remains a defining moment in our nation and in our Corps' history. It has shaped our Corps for 75 years and will do so for as long as we have a Corps of Marines. New Marines at Parris Island, San Diego, and Quantico step off smartly in service to their fellow citizens, knowing the incredible legacy they are charged with upholding. A legacy of valor forged in the cauldron of Iwo Jima by men in this audience. We are eternally grateful to you. My words are insufficient for today's remembrance, but rest assured, we shall never forget. Thank you for the great honor of joining you today, and Semper Fidelis.
At this point in time, we're going to present our awards. We give out 2 awards, our Semper Fidelis Public Servant Award and our Gung Ho Community Service Award. The Semper Fidelis Public Servant Award is given to someone who has contributed greatly to making our country a better place. General Dunford served as the 19th Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I ask you to come up, General, and receive the Semper Fidelis Award.
As the expression goes, he is one of us, and for that we can be very proud. It is our honor to recognize General Joseph Dunford today with our Semper Fidelis Public Service Award.
Governor Baker, elected officials, ladies and gentlemen, it really is an honor to be with you. And you know, despite our bluster, Marines are not very comfortable with individual recognition. And I couldn't be more humble than to be sitting here in the presence of greatness. First of all, to the Iwo Jima veterans, thanks for inspiring me to be a United States Marine. And thanks for giving me pride to have worn the uniform for 42 years. To the Gold Star families that are here, the governor spoke about your sacrifice, and your presence here is a reminder of our most solemn sacrifice and most solemn responsibility, and that is to never forget. The governor spoke about it, General Smith spoke about it. Your presence here, again, is a reminder of your sacrifice, but our responsibility to never forget, and I can assure you, we never will.
The State Treasurer, Deb Goldberg, has something for you.
That you qualify for a GWAT Veterans Bonus. So I am here to present you $2,000.
Let me tell you what I'm going to do with it. One of the things I'm doing in the next chapter of my life is I'm proudly the chairman of the Injured Marines Semper Fidelis Fund, but I can tell you that that's exactly where this check from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts will go.
Yeah.
Now, at this time, we're going to present our Gung Ho Community Service Award to Robert Kraft and his family. The term Gung Ho is associated with the Marine Corps. It comes from the Chinese, and it means work together. No one epitomizes this more than Robert Kraft and his family. And for that matter, the New England Patriots have also achieved success by working together. Robert Kraft and his wife Myra each came from families that taught and practiced the principles of philanthropy. 50 years ago, they began their own mission of philanthropy and taught their children the value of giving back.
And so I am extremely proud. The minute I was ask Robert to come up and join us, I'd also like to invite you too, Josh. So, it's Bob's commitment to veterans that we are honoring today. And the example that you set to the rest of the NFL on not only acknowledging POWs, MIAs, but also that you have done to support our Vietnam veterans, who have suffered a great deal more than some other veterans throughout our history, says so much about the kind of human being you are and the legacy that you have left to others. It is truly, truly a distinct pleasure for me to be able to honor you here today with the Gung Ho Award from our organization. Please join us, Bobby.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you all. You know, Josh and I are here today really to say thank you to all of you great service people and the Marines here who have made our way of life possible. And I don't think in today's world you get the proper respect or recognition. So we wanted to be here today to say thank you. We get it. We love your motto of gung-ho, work together. It's a good motto for any team or any organization, and we need all of America to think about that, work together. So just thank you for what you've done for us, and I just realized the General also is heading up this fund, this Wounded Fund, so our family would like to give a challenge gift here today of $100,000 to come to your fund.
But we're going to present one more award, and it's called the Semper Fidelis Achievement Award. And we're giving it to the Walsh family. Bennett Walsh is a retired lieutenant colonel. He's superintendent of the Holyoke Soldiers Home. And his father, Dan, whom I consider a great friend, was a lieutenant and leader of Marines in Vietnam, and he was wounded, received the Purple Heart, came home, led a great life. He became the Veteran Service Officer for the city of Springfield, and he did an outstanding job helping veterans. So, we're surprising them with this award. I'm asking Bennett and Dan Walsh to come up here and receive this. You want Mrs. Walsh up here?
Yeah,
hey, Mrs. Walsh, where are you? Get up here.
Now the picture's good.
Yeah.
Now it's complete. Now it's good.
Now we got the leader.
You know it.
I want to present this award to you.
Thank you.
And it says Semper Fidelis Achievement Award, presented to Dan Walsh and Bennett Walsh for service to country, corps, and Commonwealth. And it's presented by the Marine Corps League on Iwo Jima Day, February 19th, 2020. Here you go, Dan.
Thank you so much. And this is to you, Iwo Jima veterans, and I'm so proud to be here with combat Marines, some of the finest men who have ever fought in any war the world has ever had. On March 5th, 1966, my platoon was the left flank of the 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines on line, attacking Hill 50. We got to the top of Hill 50, and all there was tunnels, holes, interlocking fields of fire against us. I was in Lima 3-1. Mike was out in the open field, and platoon was wiped out. We needed flamethrowers. I called our acting company commander. I said, I got a real problem here, just like Iwo Jima. There's holes here, they're popping up, they're shooting us like crazy. I need flamethrowers. Wait one. 5 minutes later, where the hell are those flamethrowers? 2 minutes later, I need those goddamn flamethrowers. Lieutenant, do with what you have. And all I had were Marines. We attacked this fortified position that they had down the hill. And we lost all 5 who came with me, and I just turned when they shot me up the leg instead of the front. And these Marines took that position, and we won the battle right there. We didn't have the flamethrowers, as you folks didn't have them in the beginning. And they said the Army, I heard somebody say, had the flamethrowers, an incredible way to save people's lives and also take them, but to give us victory. I'm so humbled to be here today with all you heroes and the wives, gold mothers. Unfortunately, I know quite a few of you. I take my hat off to you for the sacrifices you've made for our country through your children. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kraft, we want to take up your challenge. So on behalf of the Marine Corps League, we'd like to donate $1,000 to the Simplify Fund to General Dunford.
All right, all Marines, come to attention.